So the examples here on the back are designed to get practice with vertical angles and linear pair. Remember, vertical angles are congruent, so those two are equal. A linear pair form a line, which means that those two angles are going to add and equal 180 degrees. The big thing is being able to identify what situation you have. In number 1, I'm dealing with this angle and this angle. Those are vertical angles because they share a vertex, but they do not share any sides. I mark my angles congruent with these arcs. One arc means those two angles are congruent. If I wanted to mark these angles congruent, then I would have to do something different. Maybe 2 arcs. Now those are also vertical angles, so they're also congruent. The other option I have is maybe 1 arc with a tick mark. 1 arc with a tick mark, as long as it's the same marks, similar to segments. Now the ones I'm concerned about here are my vertical angles that are going up and down. They're congruent. Congruent means equal. So I set 2x minus 10 equal to 120. Now I have to use algebra to solve that. Add 10 to both sides. 2x equals 130. Divide both sides by 2. And x equals 65. That's our final answer. In number 2, it's a similar design with intersecting lines, but this time they share a vertex and they share one side. We see that the 2 angles I'm dealing with form a line. That means that these angles are not congruent. If I marked that with 1 arc, or maybe 1 arc and a tick mark, this one I'd mark with 1 arc. They are different. What I do know is that since they form a line, they are a linear pair. They add the angle that's 2x degrees plus 4x plus 108, add together to equal 180 degrees, a whole line. Again, I get to use algebra. 2x plus 4x gives me 6x plus 108 equals 180. I subtract 108 from both sides. 6x equals 72. Divide both sides by 6. And x equals 12. Numbers 3 and 4 are similar. I'm going to go ahead and walk through number 4 quickly and then go back and do number 3. Okay. Number 4 is different than number 2 only because this is a ray and not a line. My 2 angles are still forming this line, which makes my 2 angles a linear pair. I set it up as 3x minus 15 plus 5x plus 59 equals 180. You should go ahead, do all the algebra that's left with that to solve for x. I'll put the answer at the end. Moving to number 3. I actually have 2 situations here. This is a much more likely series of problems or combination of concepts here that we will see on tests and quizzes. Since I have intersecting lines, I have my vertex here. I want to look for vertical angles because those are what are going to be the angles I set equal to each other. In this case, this angle and this angle are vertical because they do not share a side. But they are formed by intersecting lines. Since that is my 2x plus 25, and this is 3x minus 10, I can set those equal. 3x minus 10 equals 2x plus 25. And now I have an equation with only x. If I had decided to start with the fact that these two angles form a linear pair, I'd have to say that 2x plus 25 plus y equals 180. Now I have x and y in the same equation. I would need a system of equations to solve that. So I like to start, if I can, with a situation like this. I only have x. I can solve by subtracting 2x on both sides. That gives me x minus 10 equals 25. I need to get the x by itself. That means I need to get rid of the 10. Add it to both sides. X equals 35. But I do want to find the value of y still. But now that I know what x is, I can substitute that into either of these equations and find the value of this angle. 3 times 35 minus 10 is 105 minus 10, 95 degrees. Well, then this is also 95 degrees because they are congruent. Vertical angles are always congruent. Now I can go back and use the fact that that's a line, making these two angles a linear pair. Therefore, 95 plus y must equal 180 degrees. And if I subtract 95 from both sides, I find that y is equal to 85. So, quick recap on number 3. I started with the fact that this angle is equal to this angle because they're vertical angles. I used that to find the value of x. I then substituted x in, found the value of these angles, and used a linear pair to show that the y is worth 85. So, if you have not finished number 4, press pause and do so now. If you have, wait another 5 seconds for the answer. And for this one, we should get x equals 17. That's it, folks.